Welcome back, my friends. Today's summary tells a terrifying story about a group of young women who decided to mess with spirits for fun, but the consequences were dire. So, what happened? Let's find out. The movie begins with a group of girls in the dorm bathroom at their university. We see a beautiful girl named Alice, who gathered them to tell the story of a student who had committed suicide in that very spot years ago. She even points out the exact minute the girl died, and together they attempt to summon her spirit to find out the reason for her death. Grace starts chanting strange incantations while the other girls repeat after her, except for one girl, Carrie, who refuses to participate because she doesn't believe in anything called spirit summoning. Suddenly, they hear a strange noise in the bathroom. Carrie follows the sound, and the others trail behind her, only to find the bathtub filled with blood. Out of nowhere, a terrifying-looking girl emerges from the blood, sending them all screaming in different directions. Carrie runs quickly back to her room, but it turns out the whole thing was just a prank by Alice and her friend Bethany. While Carrie is in her room, she hears another strange sound and feels as though someone is coming toward her from inside the closet. She screams, and the others rush to her room, only to find the window wide open. When they look outside, they're shocked to see that Carrie has fallen and died. Sometime later, a new girl named Camelia is on her way to the same university. She meets with the headmistress to apply for admission, and the headmistress tells her there hadn't been any available spots, until now, when one became free because a student had, accidentally, fallen from her room window and died. She offers no further details. When Camelia leaves the office, she meets a girl named Helena, who helps guide new students. Helena tells her the room she's getting is the same one Carrie died in, which immediately unnerves her. After Helena leaves, the lights in the room start flickering on and off by themselves, so Camelia steps out for a bit, then comes back to unpack. She later goes downstairs to wait for Helena. While waiting, she encounters two of Alice's friends, Yvonne and Nora, who tell her she's sitting in their seat. They start picking on her until Helena arrives and tries to take her away. But Camelia insists on staying and ignores their comments. Later, Camelia runs into Grace and Bethany, the leaders of the clique that runs the school. They start harassing her, and when she finally loses her temper, she hits Alice. The whole group jumps on her, but the headmistress intervenes, stops the fight, and summons them all to her office. Camelia refuses to tell her that Alice and her friends were bullying her, insisting it was just a misunderstanding. Still, the headmistress decides to punish all of them. That night, Camelia begins seeing disturbing shadows and having nightmares in her room. The next morning, before heading to class, a young man knocks on her door. She opens it and meets Trevor, the school's maintenance worker and the headmistress's son. He's there to fix her flickering light, and jokes that maybe the school ghost is back. Camelia finds it odd but leaves so she won't be late for her first day. In class, the teacher announces that Bethany has won the award for Best Essay and will receive a $250,000 scholarship. Everyone is shocked because they know her academic level isn't good enough to win, and they can't understand how she managed it. Later, the headmistress assigns all the girls a punishment: to archive every student file the school has ever had, from the first to the most recent. They're forced to work together. Helena and Camelia are sent to the library basement, while Alice and the others work upstairs. After a while, Helena goes upstairs, leaving Camelia alone in the basement. She begins hearing footsteps, then sees someone standing between the shelves grabbing her, only to realize it's another prank by Yvonne and Nora. Helena comes back after hearing Camelia scream. The two pranksters laugh at her, calling her a coward before leaving. Helena then tells Camelia that these pranks are nothing compared to how bad things used to be, and that Carrie's death made them calm down. She reveals that Carrie had been her best friend, but started hanging out with Alice's clique and drifting away. Not long after, Carrie died. Helena says many people believe Carrie's fall was an accident, but her family is convinced it was murder and wants the case reopened. Alice interrupts, saying she has the perfect way to find out what really happened: by summoning Carrie's spirit. They all gather around, place their hands on a pen, and start chanting strange phrases as if playing a Ouija board. At first, Camellia and Helena think it's just another prank, but soon they feel their hands moving on their own. The pen begins to write by itself, and it becomes clear they're actually making contact with Carrie's spirit. At that moment, it was clear that Alice and her friends were far more frightened than Camellia and Helena. Each one of them insisted she wasn't the one moving the pen, claiming her hand was moving on its own. Then, the spirit of Carrie told them that one of the girls sitting among them would end up killing them all. Bess quickly asked which one of them it would be, but suddenly, something happened. Someone banged on the table and the lights went out. When the lights came back on, they were startled to find the principal standing right in front of them, yelling at them for fooling around instead of doing the work she had assigned. Later, the girls all sat together, and Bess spoke to Camellia and Helena, telling them that what happened in the library had been meant as a prank, that Nora was supposed to jump out and scare them, but what actually happened, and the words that appeared, weren't planned at all. That part wasn't a prank. Because of this, Bess accused the two of them of moving the pen, but after a long discussion, they all became convinced that they had actually conducted a real seance and made contact with the university ghost. Camellia smiled and asked about this university ghost story, so they told her, years ago, a girl had committed suicide at the university, and from time to time she appeared. The problem was, everyone who saw her ended up dying in horrific ways. And since the ghost had appeared to them and spoken, it was certain she would kill them all. Helena brushed it off, saying it was nothing but myths and made-up stories. She took Camellia and left. On the way, she told Camellia that the same story about the university ghost had been told to Carrie before they played a prank on her in the dorm bathroom, which led her to kill herself, and she was sure this was just another one of their tricks to scare her, nothing more. Meanwhile, Nora left Bess and her group to make a phone call outside in the garden. While she was on the phone, she noticed in one of her photos a figure standing right behind her. Suddenly, an unknown man appeared, attacked her, knocked her to the ground, killed her, and dragged her body away. The next day, the principal called in Bess's group along with Camellia and Helena. She told them that their friend Nora was missing, she hadn't returned home or to the dorm, and all her belongings and clothes from the dorm had completely vanished. The principal asked if they had seen or heard anything about Nora, but they all swore they hadn't seen her, didn't know where she was, and hadn't heard from her at all. The principal let them go. Outside the principal's office, Bess told the others that there was a dark secret behind Nora's disappearance, and they needed to uncover it. They decided to go to her dorm room and search for clues themselves, but they didn't have the key. Camellia told them that Trevor, the maintenance guy, had keys to all the rooms because he fixed the repairs. She asked him to open Nora's room, and he agreed, clearly having a crush on Camellia. Rose, one of the group, asked Camellia why she was helping when she didn't even like Nora. Camellia replied that she wanted to solve the mystery so that whatever happened to Nora wouldn't happen to her. That night, they all went to Nora's room, meeting Trevor there. He unlocked the door and went in with them to help. The moment they stepped inside, they were shocked to see a strange symbol drawn in blood on Nora's bed. Later, in the library, they agreed to search the student files for the girl who had committed suicide years ago, hoping to find some lead to Nora's disappearance. They found her file. Her name was Christina, but there was no other information. Then Helena brought out a file from the secret archives in storage. Inside were details about Christina and photos of her. In one of the photos, she was wearing a necklace with the exact same symbol that had been drawn in blood on Nora's bed. They realized there was a connection between what happened to Nora and to Christina, but they couldn't figure out the full story. Around that time, Rose was in the dorm bathroom when the lights suddenly went out. She stepped out to see who had turned them off, and someone appeared and killed her. Meanwhile, Camellia was in her room when she accidentally cut her hand. She went to the bathroom to wash it, only to come face to face with Rose's body. She screamed and called the police to investigate Rose's murder. Afterward, the principal gathered the girls and told them that Rose had slipped in the shower, hit her head, and died. She instructed everyone to return to their rooms and not leave until the investigation was over. They all went back to their rooms, except Helena, who was too scared to sleep alone and stayed with Camellia. The two talked about what had happened. Helena said it didn't make sense for Rose to have slipped and died. She was young, not old, and there was no explanation for what was happening except that the ghost story was real, and that the university ghost was going to take them out one by one. Camellia stayed by her side, comforting her, saying she was sure it was all just superstition and that there was a bigger story behind all this. She even handed Helena an iron rod and told her to keep it to protect herself. Helena took it and thanked her. At that moment, Bison was in her room when she heard movement nearby. She went toward the sound and suddenly came face to face with a masked person standing right in front of her. She screamed, and both Camellia and Helena heard her cry. They rushed to see what was going on but found Bison safe and unharmed. Bison told them that the ghost was in her room, so Helena and Camellia went inside to search, but they found nothing. The principal walked in, asked what was going on, and Bison told her she'd just seen the university ghost, and it was trying to kill her. The principal mocked her, saying it was all nonsense, and told each girl to return to her room. Later, Yvonne told her friends she was going to listen to some music to calm down after all the fear. She walked away alone, but suddenly, someone appeared, attacked her, and killed her. That night, while Camellia was sleeping, she woke to find Carrie's ghost lying next to her in bed. Camellia screamed, ran out of her room, and went to Helena's room, asking to sleep there. At the same time, Alice received a message from her friend Yvonne, asking her to meet outside the university because she needed to discuss something very important. As Alice was heading out, Camellia noticed her leaving so late at night. Suspicious, she grabbed a knife and followed her. Suddenly, as Camellia was trailing Alice, a man attacked Camellia, knocked her out, and dragged her away. Meanwhile, Alice had left the campus and was thinking about Nora's story when she began to feel uneasy. She turned to leave, but someone attacked her, knocking her unconscious. Camellia woke to find herself tied up next to Alice. A masked man approached Camellia, ready to torture her, but another masked figure stopped him, saying she might scream and someone could hear. The two then removed their masks, revealing themselves as Trevor and Bison. They confessed to killing Nora, Yvonne, Rose, and even Carrie, whose death had been staged as an accident. Camellia asked why. Bison explained that the essay which won her a $250,000 scholarship was actually Carrie's work, which she had stolen and submitted as her own. Fearing Carrie would expose her and demand her share of the money, she asked her boyfriend Trevor for help, so Trevor killed Carrie. After that, they had to eliminate all of Carrie's friends. Once the scholarship essay was published in the university, Carrie's friends would recognize it as hers and start piecing things together, eventually figuring out that Trevor and Bison had killed her. So they used the group's seances to scare everyone into believing the ghost story, making the deaths seem supernatural. Camellia asked about the strange symbol on Christina's necklace, the same symbol drawn in blood in Nora's room. Trevor explained that he had killed Christina years ago. It was meant to be just a harmless prank, but she screamed so loudly that he panicked and killed her, then staged it to look like a suicide. Meanwhile, Helena noticed Carrie's ghost standing by the window, looking toward the library storage room. Helena realized Carrie was trying to tell her something. When she checked, she saw the lights inside the storage flickering suspiciously. Back in captivity, Camellia managed to cut herself loose without Trevor or Bison noticing, but Bison caught her, took the knife, and thanked her, because now they could plant her fingerprints on it and frame her for all the murders. Bison grabbed Alice's hand, scratching Camelia's face with Alice's nails to make it look like Alice had been defending herself. Camellia began provoking Bison and Trevor, revealing that her name wasn't really Camellia at all. She had stolen the identity of a student named Camellia so she could enroll at the university and investigate her friend Carrie's death. At that moment, the storage room lights went out. Bison went to check the breaker, leaving Trevor to watch Camellia. Helena snuck in behind Trevor and hit him with an iron rod, knocking him out. She freed both Camellia and Alice, and they headed upstairs toward the library. Before they could escape, Bison blocked their path and knocked Helena out. Camellia fought back fiercely, managing to knock Bison unconscious. But as luck would have it, a stone fell from above, striking Camellia and knocking her out as well. Bison woke up first, grabbed the knife, and was about to kill Camellia, when Alice lunged at her, stabbing her in the neck and killing her instantly. Helena regained consciousness, and Camellia told her to take Alice and get out while she went back to tie up Trevor until the police arrived. But when Camellia returned, Trevor was gone. He had found Bison's body and, enraged, swore to kill Camellia. She hid, but Trevor spotted her and pushed over a massive library shelf, pinning her underneath. Trevor told her that Bison was the only woman he had ever loved, and now she had taken her away from him. Suddenly, Camellia stabbed him in the leg from under the shelf, and told him Carrie was the only person she had ever loved. She then finished him off. Camellia returned to her dorm, gathered all the photos she had with Carrie, and finally felt she had avenged her friend. The next day, Camellia packed her things to leave the university. Before she left, Helena stopped her, asking why she had killed Bison and Trevor. Camellia replied that she had been seeking justice for Carrie, who never deserved to die the way she did. Helena understood, and they said their goodbyes. Camellia promised she'd come back to visit, then walked away. Before exiting, she glanced toward her room, and saw Carrie's ghost standing there. Camellia smiled, knowing her friend's spirit could finally rest in peace. And that's how the story ends. If you enjoyed the movie, hit the like button and tell us what you think in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.